Major moves. We going all in, like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.
Warning, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't blame me or any other random person that gives you some money tips for any of your financial decisions. I provide information based on research that may guide you to taking a deeper look at a particular company. However, in no way am I suggesting to invest or not invest in that company. Your decisions are that of your own. I present information that is readily available on the internet, and I piece together the story to create and provide a more holistic concept to create a bigger picture. This information is for educational purposes only. Ultimately, I'm a guy in a Spider-Man mask, and you should not take financial advice or information from me.
All right. Thank you guys for joining me again. I don't have a particular theme entrance or anything like that. Thank you for joining me back on my channel. I figured I'd give it to you guys different today. That's my partner walking down the stairs. What I mean by giving it to you different, I changed up my theme now. I have a nice spider house. That's what I'm calling my place. It's the spider house. We'll sit down, we'll parlay. We'll learn something new. By we'll, I mean we both will, because I find this stuff, and I tend to do a lot of my reading offline, but I do a lot more reading also online with you guys. So it's a way for all of us to learn. Recently, I had asked the question to myself, who are these people who make these standards? I keep hearing, you hear King Val. Oh yeah, XRP is the first body member. Okay, well that's fantastic. What does that mean to you and me? Who creates these things? How does that work? So I figured it was time to take a deep dive down that hole and learn a bit about it. So let me teach you guys while I'm learning as well. I had skimmed through all these things here, but this will be, I want to say, at least 10 sites, but we'll see how much it is, and we'll figure it out as we go. Anyways, is this the first one here? Yes, this is the first one here. This is ISO TMB, the Technical Management Board. This is the ISO, the actual website itself. There you see at the top there. Maybe you can't see it because I have my banner. Anyways, it's the ISO.org website. And here is the ISO TMB, the Technical Management Board. Let me just turn the screen up here because I can't see shit. I can't see clearly now. My spider eyes are fogged up. Okay, so the Secretariat's Mr. Markov, the chairperson until 2024. And then you got Mr. Javier Garcia Diaz coming in. Here's the scope. By scope, just the members itself. Canada's or US uses ANSI. India uses the BIS. I'm not sure what that means. UK uses BSI. Canada uses SCC. And these are all those different standards. So you have the international standards, or globally. Globally, everybody has to adhere to. By everybody, that would be the federal government mainly. Then the federal government would have to pass their standards down to the provinces, and each province would have their own standard, or states, depending on where you are, or like province in Canada, province in China, province in Germany, you want to say? Then you have states in the US. And these are the different standards that each of them will adhere to. So Canada's SCC, Switzerland is SNV, okay? Where are we at, hell? Now here we go. Tasks of the TMB. So the Technical Management Board, this body shall have responsibility with delegated authority for decision making for the general management of the technical committee structure, including establishment, coordination, and dissolution of ISO's technical bodies. So each different standard, these are the governing bodies here that will roll out and implement this. Where are we? The supervision of their activities and the development and maintenance of the rules for the work of the ISO technical committees. For example, the ISO/IEC Directives Part 1 Consolidated ISO Supplement procedures specific to ISO version 2017 and its subsequent version. I can't explain that shit. That wasn't even English. Okay. Well, I wanted to show you that. And then let's go over here. This is the different groups now. So the ISO TMG, is it the same thing or different now? This should be different. Refers to the group that reports to the ISO Technical Management Board. Okay. The TMB is the governance body responsible for the general management of the technical committee structure. Did I read this? Nah. It can't be the same thing. It's different things. That's what I thought. Okay, it's different things. Look at this. Look at this. Got me all twisted. You got me all twisted. Okay, the Technical Management Board may establish ad hoc technical and strategic advisory groups as deemed necessary. So in other words, they can just create a group as needed for whatever the case or circumstance. These groups are established and dissolved via the TMB resolution. So you'll have coming together, so documents of sorts stating that they're coming together, and there'll be a finite time for that group, and then you have each individual projects for that group and a timeline for that, and then you'll have a dissolution or dissolvement contract as well to state that this group has now exited, it's terminated. That way, legally speaking, you'll have the opening of it, you'll have the work structure and scope, and then you'll have the end of that working group itself. So the entity will not exist anymore. Okay. There are 81 published ISO standards under the direct responsibility of the ISO TMBG. Okay. Is this the one here? Is this it? Here they are. Here's the different ISOs. There's the COP26. All right. Coordination, joint technical coordination, future direction. Excuse me. Smart farming. Smart farming. If you're interested in that, look into that. You might learn some stuff, livestock, urban farming, climate and environment, terminology and semantics, supply chain. If you want to figure out the supply chain, what's going on with the supply chain, by all means, dive into that. I'm more of the management side of things. The supply chain is interesting to me. I do hold some V-chain for supply management. I know a bit about that. I haven't dove down to into that level like what I'm doing right now, though. Here's the government's technical working. Here's some of the management group. There's Javier Garcia. I stated his name prior. Okay, policies and guidance. We're in the meat potatoes now. Here we go. So all that ISO had brought me to ISO T/TC 68. This is the financial services now. Okay. And that secretariat is under ANSI, which is the US. So we're looking at the US still. The US is still leading this ISO here. All right. Up until 2024, whoever Jim Northey is will be stepping in. So something's going to happen in 2024, whoever that guy is. Under that, there's currently 76 published ISO standards under that financing ISO number. All right, here we have digital currencies. So still, let's go from the top here. We got financial services and securities, reference data for financial services, information exchange for financial services, standards, advisory group, best practices. That might be an interesting one to dive into later. That'll hopefully help demystify a lot of fears that people have around cryptocurrency and how they're going to work, and the digital currency that's created from these. Digital currencies right there. There you go. Strategic leadership group, communication, fintech. Yeah. So here, that brought me down to ISO TC 307, which is all about blockchain and DLT. All right. Interestingly enough, the leader of this particular one is Quant. From what I've seen, from what I've learned, and from what I've heard. From this document, it actually brought me up to, or maybe I just wrote down, I don't know, I'm lying, not from this document, but from this ISO/TC. I Googled that again and it brought me to somewhere else. And that is right. Actually, let's learn about this first. So the standard, the scope, is standardization of blockchain technologies and DLTs, okay? There's 9 published ISOs under that. And here are those ISOs, or here are some of the subcategories. That's what I'm looking for. Subcategories for this ISO. But there's DLT carbon markets. Holy shit! Smart contracts and their application, governance. Governance is where I got this from. So I was looking into governance itself. I'm like, that's an interesting thing. The governance of DLT itself. Okay, so that's 307 right there. ISO/TC 307 WG-5 governance. That brought me over to here. All right. WIPO blockchain webinar, interoperability and governance in blockchain standards. And you won't believe who pops up. Look in the right hand corner here. This is Quant. Quant is the leader in this space here. History and blockchain standards. This is from 2009. They've been looking into this. All right. HM Treasuries here. Look at this. This is all about. Look at this. This looks a bit archaic and old. You know, we've been here before. They're talking about the past and I guess what brought us where we are now. 2015, the need for blockchain ISO, a need for the standard now in terms of governance. The Russian FinArms firms formed blockchain consortium, a group of Russian banks and financial services companies has formed a private sector consortium focused on blockchain application from 2016. All right, this is nothing new. Nothing new. What's going on there? There we go. So, Global Standard Wanted, they call it GARP, Global Association of Risk Professionals, as of April 8th, 2016. All right, this is nothing new. Nothing new. Proposed blockchain ISO standard. So here's where they're talking about creating the standard now. The proposed work is to, so remember I was telling you they'd have groups that would pop up for specific needs and then dissolve later on. This could have potentially been one of those groups that pop up to create this new standard, ISO/TC 307. I believe Quant actually did have a hand in creating this. I heard that from Abs on 3T Warriors. I can't verify or validate that. I haven't looked into that. I'm just looking into this stuff right now in terms of governance. But maybe I'm throwing out the information there, so maybe it's something you want to do. All right. So the proposed work is to define the standards, create the mechanism to be a gateway to multiple blockchains, in other words, interoperability, create the governance framework, have interoperability and compatibility with existing financial standards, provide legal and regulatory compliance to each transaction across blockchains, work towards a regulatory framework that provides a mix of legal and technical rules. So here's a new ISO for you guys that you're learning, because the main one that most people only ever talk about, again, first body member, second body member, ISO 20022. What does that in fact mean? I'm going to go into that one as well, so you're not just learning about one. I want to kind of put it all together for you in terms of interoperability, in terms of governance. That way we have a more holistic and in-depth ideology about what this is. And of course, everyone's going to form their own ideology from this. But you'll have a nice foundation to start now, at least. It'll hopefully remove some of the biases we've had before and the tribalism as well, because any of these companies that you pick that are compliant, I want to say has the potential to make money. All right, I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it won't. I'm saying has the potential to make money, because these entities are adhering to international standards that everybody will need to use. Like, there's no two ways about that. Everybody will need to use. Here they go. Here's the forming of the standard itself. And international standards. All right. So, here's TC 309 now. 2 steps up. Governance and organization. About BSI. This is Mike Hennigan. He knows his name. The scope of this now is the standardization of field of governance related to aspects of direction, control, and accountability of organizations. So there's there's various ISO standards, and each crypto and company will have their fair share of it, because they each do different things. So make sure a lot of people say choose one and stick with it and go with it and go all in. And that could be a really good strategy, but that's not my strategy. I like to be diversified in various, not necessarily various sectors, also various sectors, but also with different cryptocurrencies that have different scopes and line of work for what their use case is. Right? I don't just want to go in all in on one under the assumption and belief that this is going to happen. I'd rather spread my money out and put whatever I can at these few projects that I've looked into and I think have a future. All right, so that brought me down to where this isn't it. Is this it? This isn't it. Anyways, yeah, this is it. So ISO 20022. Oh yes, the first body member. XRP is the first body member. I have nothing but respect for Val. That's why I do that, impression of him. Might not be a good one, but I do it regardless. Val, nothing but love, man. You guys check out his channel too. That's King Val or Lord Val on Twitter, and XRP Val on YouTube. So here, this is going into a little bit. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just give you a high-level overview of this. The aim of this paper is to socialize views regarding the value of ISO 20022 standards in the evolving fintech landscape. So this focuses mainly on fintech. Soaring proliferation of fintech in the last decade has profoundly altered consumer expectations around the access to and delivery of financial services and products. Considered as both an innovative and disruptive force, fintech is generating formation of conventional banking systems. It has a growing influence on the financial services value chain, resulting in lower barriers to entry and leveling the financial playing field for the mass markets. All right, so because the financial markets are leveled, that rolls down to us in terms of saving. And if it's higher than that, you're being gouged. I wouldn't trust that company at all, and it'll be all transparent, and people will know. They will know. It has a growing influence on the financial services value chain, resulting in, I read that, okay, fintech innovation comes in all different shapes and sizes, using divergent technologies and without the adoption of common standards. So there's various standards, right? There's, again, as we saw, ISO /TC 307. We saw 309. Now we're seeing 20022. What 20022 does is all about interoperability for fintech companies. That's what it is. So you have this one thing here with various coins that can operate and play within that ecosystem. And then around that, you have different ISOs. By ISOs, I mean you're going to have different companies utilizing those ISOs. And because these entities like XRP, like XLM, like XDC, they're interoperable. They can play within this ISO, they can play within that ISO, they can play within this one, and whatever other one there are. And that's how the value is moved. That's how the value of the monetary value is moved. It focuses on interoperability. That's why you hear that word so much. A common standardized business language is paramount to ensure interoperability between existing, so right now, framework and future financial systems. So it's going to keep growing. And as they grow, these blockchains, these ISO 20022 are going to have to be compliant or interoperable with whatever else comes next. Who knows where life will lead? Who knows where it'll lead? Who knows what's going to be created? Right now, what's being created is astounding. But who knows where it'll lead in the future? Okay. There are currently, I do have one PDF for you guys. It's going to blow your minds away. This one was insane. I want to just breeze through this quickly here, and I'll work my way to that just so you guys know. I should have said that in the front. Maybe I'll stop and make an introduction part first, to let you guys know what to expect. That way you don't leave midway through the video here. Anyways, there are currently over 222 ISO 20022 standard adoption. 220 ISO standard adoption initiatives in the global financial services industry. Over half of these are operating in a live capacity right now. Asia is no exception, with more than 22 cases of ISO 20022 based financial market infrastructure in production mode right now. Encompassing these are stock exchanges and central security depositories, CSDs, in Singapore, Australia, and Japan, as well as real-time payment and settlement systems in India, China, and the broader, they call it, Asian region. Cool. Here they're talking about DLTs. Fintech in the next 5 years. Okay. So these industries experts were surveyed for their insights into the specific value of ISO 20022 and its application traversing a variety of business models from DLT to APIs and real-time payments. I'm not going to go through that, into that. Yeah. Okay. This all looks good. I'll read that. I'll post this in the informational part of YouTube here, just down below there, so you can check it out as well. Where am I? This here, okay? This is consideration and lesson for the development and implementation of fast payments systems. Part of the World Bank Fast Payment Toolkit. This is the main report from September 2021. All right, let me read this to you. Shoot. Okay, so there's XRP, but before that, let me go up here. This is important. I know it's going to be boring. You might think it's boring, but you need to hear this, okay? Where was it? Right here. So cross-border aspects. The key difference between a domestic payment system and a cross-border payment arrangement is that a cross-border arrangement does not fall under a simple set of laws and regulations. In practice, most cross-border payments today are processed using a proliferation of bilateral agreements. Bilateral agreements are between two different countries. This is just like aviation. That's between two different countries or various countries. So for instance, for an aircraft to leave Canada or Ontario, Canada specifically, and fly over the border, the body of water, there we go. The aircraft has to meet specific criteria in terms of ETOPS, extended twin engine operation procedures, I believe it is, ETOPS. So that aircraft needs to meet specific conditions and specifications set out by the aircraft manufacturers, and then to fly over and land in that country, not the country of origin, but the country of destination. There's an agreement that needs to be made for that particular aircraft to be able to fly over that, and for that country to be able to go and fly into that country, territory, land, whatever it is. So there's different bilateral agreements that exist. And there's various ones that have to play together. You know, like it's not just one contract that works. There's several that back up each other, which makes a living document, essentially. So that's what we're talking about here. So a number of industry players have launched new services or partnerships to improve the speed, transparency, and cost of cross-border payments through the innovative use of transitional system or services, or by leveraging new technology, such as distributed ledger technology. Some of these different approaches and examples are summarized by, so check this out, SWIFT has launched Global Payment Innovation, GPI, Instant, a new service for real-time cross-border payments and transfers. SWIFT, Instant carried out pilots with Australia's NPP for payments between Australia and China. Singapore's FAST, which involves 17 banks across 7 countries, that is Australia, Canada, China, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Singapore, and Thailand. And banks and TIPS and Europe. The new service is being rolled out initially, check this out, initially in the British markets. Let me show you this. In the British markets, and Lloyd's Banking Group is the first to go live, okay? The GPI Instant Service works by connecting SWIFT with real-time domestic infrastructure. It enables banks to use existing infrastructure to provide better services 24/7 with faster speed, clarity on fees, and predictability, but when an end beneficiary's account will be accredited. International card networks such as Visa and MasterCard have also pursued opportunities to leverage their infrastructures to improve cross-border payments, which means they will also be using this ISO standard of interoperability, which is ISO 20022. So look to those entities that adhere to that particular ISO, and you could potentially find some good money in that. I can't predict prices, but good money in that. All right, we're getting there. We're getting some potatoes. Non-card network that uses distributed ledger technology to settle large value transactions between financial institutions in the Visa network. B2B Connect provides a single multilateral network that incorporates not only payments messaging, but also ID authentication. So you have Ripple, who used to have Pay ID, then they got sued by the Australian bank, and they changed their name to PayString. Logo looks exactly the same. So Ripple has incorporated PayString, which is their ID, kind of KYC for the banking system itself. You can also do like they call it, if they're ENS, but for like Ripple, Ripple naming service as well. Securities law banks, cross-border payments on a same, and security features allow banks to exchange cross-border payments on a same day or next day basis. MasterCard has recently announced a partnership with the international money transfer startup group TransferGo to develop the near real-time exchange of cross-border payments for consumers and businesses. I know this stuff isn't fun to read. I enjoy it. The good thing is you guys don't have to read it. I got you. I'll read it to you. I enjoy doing this stuff and putting the puzzle pieces together. Let me jump back into this now. Near real-time exchange. The initiative will leverage MasterCard's Send and TransferGo's remittance network to allow customers to circumvent legacy correspondent banking. So that's how they're going to leverage this new technology and circumvent the correspondent banking to onboard into the new, what they call it, Web3, new digital world, new digital realm, if you will. Networks to speed the processing of cross-border payments. The two largest global remittance providers have been active in developing partnerships to speed up cross-border transaction processing. In October 2020, Western Union announced real-time payout capabilities in 80 countries. Who did Western Union work with? Wasn't that Ripple? I could be wrong. I haven't looked into it for a while. It could be Ripple, or it could have been Stellar XLM. I know one of them works with MoneyGram. I honestly don't remember which one is working with Western Union, though. I believe it was Ripple. That's what I do believe it was Ripple. While MoneyGram, there we go, has partnered with institutions such as Visa, MoneyGram does onboarding with XLM as the rails, such as Visa, to enable fast payments between certain corridors. More recent entrants into the international remittance space, such as Wise, formerly TransferWise. My partner used to use that app to send money to her mother. Her mother passed away 2021 in December during this whole thing, and we couldn't go to Germany to even see her mother, so she had to get buried without us there, without her daughter being there, or even having the possibility to get there. What a bunch of like brain dead people. Unbelievable. Anyways, where am I? Have also seen successes in recent years by providing international transfers at lower cost and faster than legacy remittance providers, including the ability for customers to compare the cost of international transfers between Wise and other PSPs, including fintechs, remittance providers, and financial institutions. Here we go. Ripple has developed, this is from the World Bank, all right? Ripple has developed a network based on distributed ledger technology for cross-border payments. The RippleNet network allows financial institutions to send and receive international payments from a single pre-funded account. RippleNet allows for fiat-to-fiat transaction, as well as the use of XRP digital currency to bridge between different jurisdictions. So you heard them exclusively talking about Ripple, RippleNet, and XRP now. The G20 has published a roadmap. Are they building up to something here? They're talking about a particular entity that meets the needs and the criteria, and now we're talking about the G20. We had found out on the text above that certain countries. There was Australia, had done testing with China, and Australia, China, Canada, India, and other entities have been testing, and then they're talking about Ripple and XRP and RippleNet, and now we're talking about the G20. All right, and this is all the same PDF here. The G20 has published a roadmap to enhance cross-border payments ahead of the G20's October. I have that PDF. Oh, do I have that somewhere? Is it still up here? Oh man, I have that somewhere. Anyway, the G20's October 2020 meeting. The Financial Stability Board's roadmap includes 5 focus areas, 4 of which are centered on enhancements to current cross-border payment arrangements and improvements that can be made to existing payment systems and that can enhance the speed, cost, transparency, and service levels experienced by consumers and businesses when sending and receiving international payments, as well as potential changes that may be needed for regulatory and supervisory framework. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I couldn't have said it better. That's why I read it, because I couldn't have said it better, and I probably wouldn't. But, you know, put the puzzle pieces together, right? They talk about which entities have been using this and playing around with this. Back in 2020, they had stated that. All of a sudden, they're talking about Ripple, RippleNet, XRP, all under the same breath. New paragraph here. We're talking about the G20 and, you know, looking into cross-border payments, because and they pass it on to the FSB, so they have the FSB looking into that. The FSB sends out notices to individuals like BlackRock, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. They respond to these things. You have Fidelity responding to these things. You have R3 responding to these things. You have entities, huge entities. The BIS, like this, these you can see where it's going. All right. I'm not going to throw out any speculation. My heart and my fabric and belief is under the jurisdiction and belief and warrant that XRP is being used by these entities here. I have nothing that shows me contrary to that. Not a thing. If somebody has something else that shows contrary to what I had just read that the World Bank had put out, by all means, my ears are open. I'm not trying to, you know, I'm open for debate. I'm totally open for debate. Show me what you got. I'll show you what I got. Let's do this, you know. But I do appreciate comments also, you guys. Please like and subscribe my content here. I like and I would subscribe to myself, so I figure you should too. But before I let you go, I was looking into see if there was an ISO for offline payments and how that would work. I didn't find an ISO for offline payments specifically, but I did find standards. Offline transactions here, and they're talking here about the ISO 8535 for International Standard for Financial Transactions, and card originated interchange messaging. And then they start going down here where they're talking about the offline messaging, and that brought me to 120, a request for offline transaction approval due to network failure and its response for approval. This is a different scope in terms of proof of transaction, but this is very interesting itself. I feel like I'm getting closer to where I need to be. Very much closer to how this works now in terms of offline payments. So I'll leave that here. Maybe we can dive into this another time. If you guys want, by all means, pause it here and read this. I'll just scroll down slowly here for you guys. That way you can just read it if you want. We're going to come to an end. Just now, I appreciate you guys taking your time to spend your time with me, to learn with me, to, you know, help me read, because I'm not the best reader. Shit. But I appreciate you guys spending time with me nonetheless. You know, until the next one, I'll catch you there.
Making major moves. We going all in. Like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.